Snigdha. I'm proud to be an investment banker at Avendus.
Hi, I'm Mansi. I'm part of the Avendus Alternate Strategies at Avendus.
Hi, I'm Swati Singh. I'm a part of wealth management at Avendus. I head the fixed income piece of it.
Hi, I'm Sonali. I lead the legal team at Avendus.
Hi, I'm Niyati. I lead investor relations and business development at the Avendus Private Market Strategies. I pursued many career paths. I did banking, I did investments in the private equity, I worked in the family business startup, I worked in the family business, I worked in multifamily office. And I think by the time I kind of identified what my career looked like, I realized, which is kind of investor relations, fundraising, business development in the private alternate space, I realized there actually weren't that many opportunities. And so while kind of the whole PEVC system in India has matured significantly, there were either funds who were too early in their journey to want a dedicated role, or normally the founding partner kind of put on this fundraising hat every 2.5, 3 years. And the role kind of got done. So, unlike the West, of course, where the whole alternates industry has been there for decades, investments and IR work in tandem. It's a very well-oiled machinery. I think in India, we're only just starting to see the value or the need of kind of this structured, active investor engagement. And my sense is, over time that will evolve. But I think it's taken me many years to kind of find the right opportunity from kind of that perspective.
When I started off, I just started off with my dad's friend just to start off working, right? And then I got into a very, very niche area of work. So for me, opportunities came really well, but the entire career has played out really, really well in terms of the fact that even though I started in being a lawyer in financial services, at that point I was a little doubtful because I was like, can you really make a career out of this? I knew I wanted to succeed. I had very clear goals, and luckily for me, I have achieved each one of them. But it's played out so well that every role that I have taken, one, I've had a very good mentor, and actually every single opportunity has just fallen into place. If someone says, yes, have you had problems? I don't think I've had any problems. It's just panned out perfectly well in terms of what I've achieved and where I've reached.
And Sonali, I think that's because of your mindset. I mean, I know it sounds very cliched, but it's about the half glass full versus the half glass empty. I mean, people could sort of think through, someone else in your shoes could have thought through many things, at Avendus or before as to why this has happened or hasn't happened with me. I think it's about the mindset, and which is where I guess as women, we need to sort of, break the glass ceiling, which at least a few privileged of us, a few of us have done that, where, we feel that we look at the positive side of things. What we think about our work is in our mind, and what we don't think of it is also in our minds, which reflects at everyone, not just at work, at home. And it's about how people give your work relevance and importance.
And in fact, I've always used being a woman to my advantage, right? I walked into a room and, sometimes just being a woman has allowed me to speak up where people kind of sit up and listen, where they acknowledge that you have something relevant to say. And eventually that always, of course, it always has to show through your work. There's no question about that and the substance of your work. But for me, I've always felt that it's worked in my benefit as against me.
But what you said, showing through your work, I kind of resonate with that because, when I started off, like my dad's into business and all that, so I was like, maybe I'll get into that. I was not sure. Even when I did MBSc, right now, you have most of these large companies picking up students from the known B schools, I am not from a known B school. I did it from, I did my MBA from Mumbai University. So I didn't know. It was just the opportunities which kept coming, and I took it up. And then I got a couple of good mentors, as Sonali said, and that's how, my career kind of progressed. So it is a combination of, what you want to be, what you think you can do, which is very important. So these challenges will always come in the beginning, but that's how you take it up.
Because we always went with the flow. We never thought what are going to be the negatives, because the focus was always towards, we didn't have many options at that point in time. So in my case, I went into dealing, institutional dealing in bonds and others. So we just went on with the flow, never thought about what is going to be the next career path or what are the next opportunities. Just do your work diligently was the only key to success we were taught at that
And I
point.
think that's what has
that is what has
all of us over here.
So one of-
Yes,
So one of my mentors, in fact, actually my first ever mentor, he said this to me. He said, you have achieved, and I never looked at it like that. He said, you've achieved what you've achieved because you were willing to take the risk. So it was always go with the flow and take that risk every single time. And at that point in your career, what is the decision that you need to make? So I have taken that risk. I mean, someone like me has actually taken 15 months off and just sat at home because I wanted to spend time with my child. But that was a conscious risk that I took because I knew that I had the ability to go back into the
definitely.
thing.
Like
So-
we never thought about taking a break or a sabbatical, because we all have planned for our families, going ahead with the family and all, starting a family and all that. But we never thought what is going to be the next step. It is look at that point in time like an opportunity to, right now the focus should be maybe a child right now. So let's focus on the child for the time being and then possibly think about the career.
And I agree with you, Niyati, on the point which you made, that I think being a woman is an advantage at work, and it's about how you play it, of course. But it's also an advantage because just the ability that we have here, we're talking about work, we're talking about home, we're talking about family. We'll have so many other conversations that we can do. Our mind has actually many things going on at the same time. I think that's an advantage that women have. The warmth and the care we bring to work. Clearly, we have some of those facets which we should use to our advantage, as opposed to thinking that we are women and how will we be perceived. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's about your content. It's about who you are. It's not about the sex you belong to. I think one of the responsibilities we have on us, apart from doing our work well and being a good human being, is also the fact that we are actually, few women sort of leaders, few women in financial services, very, very few women that we see, especially in investment banking. It's the responsibility on us, I think, is huge to sort of create a work environment, be inspiring to our team, and sort of make sure that they understand that it's possible to do this and not sort of, get deterred by the work or by the environment. And actually, the responsibility is to make them comfortable at the workplace. So I think this is a good sort of moment for us. We are extremely privileged, and I feel humbled that people will look up to us and sort of assume us as role models.
True, even like how you said in investment banking, even in business development, as even Niyati made a point earlier, I have seen very few females working in this field, and there could be a lot of challenges whatever are there. So it's very important for us to put confidence in our team, give them responsibility, make them accountable, and that's how they will also even grow in future and look up to all of us.
What I want to throw out to kind of the group here is that I think when you look at your analyst or associate group, right, you see there's probably a 50-50 mix of men and women, right? As you kind of move up the middle rung, a lot of women start to drop off. And as a group, what can we do? What is the ecosystem that we can build, either to kind of help them get over the hump, or even if they choose to take a break. And I did that. I have made a very personal and conscious choice to take a break for 4 years when my child was born. But I did come back, and not to feel intimidated to come back into the workforce. And to say it's okay, sometimes, your path may be a little different, your path may take a little longer, but what can we do from an ecosystem and environment perspective to allow people to either continue to stay, but or also to come back?
Also to set examples like the way we could do it. I'm sure a lot of other women can also do it and follow the similar path, so as to say.
So and that's why I think conversations are important. It's also lead by example. As Niyati said, she took a 4-year break. I took 15 months off. And then the kind of job that I went to was actually one step down from what I was doing, right? And that's where it is leading by example, by saying that it's fine to do that. It's okay to take that decision at that point in time. But that's why I think conversations as leaders or become important with our teams, or And it's not only just the women, it's even the men, because it's not necessarily only about a woman taking that break. Now things are changing, people, even men want to take that break, and I think they have the same doubts that we as women have, really. So,
do you think we can set up our teams and our workflows more efficiently? And what I mean by that is, can you kind of get increased productivity without necessarily increasing the hours? And is it a question of how that team functions, how the work flows? Is that something that can be improvised for different people at different stages in their life? Do you think that's possible?
I think Yeti, more than a structure, it's a lot about just giving them the right feeling and environment. And if they feel happy at work, I think the productivity as it is goes up, whether for men or for women. And I think COVID has sort of been actually a boon, especially for people like us, where people have, realized that it's okay sometimes to go home early and work from home. I mean, we've all mastered, Zoom calls. We've mastered how at times people are in a car, some are on Zoom, some are completely somewhere else. And we've done well on that front. So, I think the flexibility while trusting your team that even if they've left early, they'll finish off the work, to show that trust in them, it makes them more accountable and, responsible. And that's when I think the best outcomes.
And I think now a lot of organizations have started recognizing this, because earlier when COVID hit, nobody knew how it's going to work out. But now with this more, flexibility in the working hours and all, I think the productivity has actually gone up. And I can see it in, even in our team, I can see that. Because, even the analysts, they leave early or whatever, but they go home and finish the work. At least that travel time is also saved. So that is also very important.
And a sense of security that, your organization provides you, that you take a break, but definitely you can come back to them, and so that also is a sense of security, also is something which is very important.
So, while I may give a lot of advice to my younger self, I think one of the key things was that it's okay for each person to kind of follow their own path. I think it's okay to not be overly anxious about the way other people perceive you. But kind of the mantra that has always worked for me, and it's something that I read many years ago, was to get up, suit up, and show up, right? And so it's one of those things that I've always followed, and I think that's kind of always held me in good stead.
one thing that I would tell my younger self would definitely be trust yourself more and your capabilities and abilities. The one mantra I followed through my entire career is never give up. No matter what happens, just don't give up. But the one thing, if I had to tell, not my professional self, but my personal self, would be to give yourself more respect. We all show up professionally, but we forget that we are individuals ourselves. And it's also about, if you don't take care of yourself, you really can't take care of the rest of the world or even be good at what you do. So that's something I've learned now after 43 years of actually not showing up for myself. Now I make an effort to show up for myself rather than just showing up for everyone else. So.
No, I agree with you. When you're talking about your personal self, one thing I will say that, I've always had this thing that, learn an instrument or learn a language, but that also helps you. And that is something that I've not been able to do because you're not concentrating on yourself. So that is something that maybe even at this age, I would prefer to do that. And one thing I would say is, do not self-doubt. Because I have done that initially in my career. I think most of us would have done, question everything. So that is something which I think is very important. And the mantra I live, and I've been fortunately I've been able to live that throughout my career, is maintain your work-life balance, which is very, very important.
For me, the mantra would be like a sense of urgency and a sense of ownership. I think these two things have helped me, and I'm sure would help others too. Because sense of urgency only gives us the right thing, that to do it in the right time, and how fast we can execute it. Fast, I mean to say, not the pace, but to do it as a priority. So when my priority was home for the moment, like when I go back home, it's the priority is home, then I'm with the kid. But once you're in office, then you need to definitely cut that out.
You all have sort of said it all, but my mantra is very similar. Believe in yourself. Don't self-doubt. Don't be anxious about what will happen, and don't for once think that you are second or you are not, a male. I want to put that out very clearly. Don't think that at all. Being a woman is an advantage. treat it as an advantage and believe in yourself. Forget which sex you belong to. Just sort of go and conquer the world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree. Absolutely.